Alright, with WWDC just around the corner, there have been some scrumptious rumors floating around the internet about iPadOS 16 and what it might bring to the table, and man, if they're true, we are in for a treat. Let's ramble.
Hold up, place go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it wants.
Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again, and if you're new here, I'm Patrick and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. Guys, I am so hyped for next week. Not only will I be moving into a new studio space, in fact this will probably be my last video that I shoot in this studio, but of course on Monday our favorite annual Apple event starts, which is WWDC, the good old dub, and it looks promising. Now, there will be a lot of new announcements and updates, but for the purpose of this video, we'll be focusing on the iPad Pro. It's the device we all love on this channel, and therefore iPadOS 16 is probably the most exciting update for nerds like you and I. Now, before we comb through the rumors, I have to remind myself to take it all with a massive bag of salt, okay? If you're an OG to the channel, you might remember me getting extremely excited last year about the announcement of iPadOS 15. We had just been given this insanely powerful iPad Pro that had the M1 chip and could be maxed out to 16 gigs of RAM, which I did. Surely Apple was gonna turn iPadOS into the Pro OS we had all been dreaming of, right? We would finally get Pro apps like Final Cut Pro on the iPad Pro, right? No, we didn't. And dare I even say that iPadOS 15 was the most disappointing update in the history of updates. I was so pissed. I spent an entire video rambling about exactly how pissed I was. I just spent an arm and a leg on Apple's top-of-the-line iPad, and aside from the better screen and a Thunderbolt port, it didn't really do much more than the other iPads. In fact, I barely touched the thing since the iPad mini came out, which does pretty much everything the Pro does, but in a form factor that is way more fun to use. The only really cool thing iPadOS 15 brought to the table is universal control, which came out only very recently, long after it was announced. So why am I still cautiously excited about stuff this time? Well, for two reasons. One, the rumors this year come from some very solid sources, most notably Mark Gurman, who is probably the most reputable Apple leaker out there. He's got an accuracy rating of over 85%, and that is very impressive given the amount of stuff he actually puts out. The second reason I allow myself to get a little excited again is because I believe Apple knows that if they mess up this update like they did iPadOS 15, they will effectively kill the iPad Pro. People are already jumping ship to alternatives like the Samsung Tab S8 Ultra, which does offer proper multitasking and a desktop-like experience, and honestly, Apple just can't stay behind any longer or they will lose their loyal iPad Pro user base, including yours truly. Actually, let's make this official. If Apple doesn't deliver significant updates to the iPadOS this year that will give us real Pro features, I will sell my M1 iPad Pro. Right, so what are we expecting at WW next week? According to Mark Gurman, our favorite leaker, who by the way doesn't just tweet his thoughts, he actually covers Apple news for Bloomberg, which is of course not just any old news source. In his Bloomberg article, Mark Gurman tells us that Apple plans to move away from iPadOS being basically an oversized version of iPhone OS and more towards feeling like an actual computer. And to be frank, I think Apple has a promise to deliver on here ever since 2020 when they teased us with that text, "Your next computer is not a computer." Anyway, Gurman writes that people with knowledge of the matter, who asked not to be identified because changes aren't yet public, told him that the way multitasking on the iPad looks will get a facelift. It will become easier to see which apps are open, and it will be easier to switch between them. And I would very much welcome a change like that since multitasking is still a little fidgety on the iPad. Way more exciting though is the ability to finally resize windows. I mean, this is huge. I hate the way multitasking is laid out right now, especially slide over. It's not that I don't like it, I hate it. Anyway, these rumors of iPadOS 16 bringing real multi-window multitasking go hand in hand with earlier rumors of possible hardware upgrades. Because about a month ago, Patently Apple, which is a website that keeps track of all patents Apple files and wins, posted images of this patent. In the image posted, we see a hinged keyboard that would be used to make the iPad a true hybrid device. Patently Apple writes that the patent strongly suggests that the iPad could take on a macOS-like user interface. So in other words, we would have the iPadOS interface we're all accustomed to when the iPad is in tablet mode, But once it's attached to the new keyboard, it would switch to more of a macOS-like interface, so the iPad can be used more like a laptop. Let's not call it Apple Dex, but you know, it's Apple Dex. But knowing Apple, when they do steal a concept, they do it so well that it's much better than the original, so even if they nick the idea from Samsung, I'm all in. Having said all this, what I don't want is for iPadOS to turn into macOS. I don't need another MacBook. What I really want is a true hybrid that feels like a tablet but has the ability to act like a MacBook only when it needs to. In fact, right below Mark Gurman's Bloomberg article, I saw a person make this comment which basically sums it up perfectly. He writes, "I'm torn by this. On the one hand, it's very welcome, but after MacBooks went M1, I really don't use my iPad as quote-unquote laptop anymore. Sorta wish they would go back to the tablet roots and really innovate more in this space. I really do want that third device that is different than my laptop and my iPhone, as Steve Jobs presented it." Honestly, I couldn't agree more, and I don't think Apple is making the iPad a MacBook replacement. They have consistently made it very clear to us that the iPad is a complementary device, not a replacement, and this is proven through features like Sidecar and Universal Control. So what do you guys think? Will iPadOS 16 give us all the pro features we've been asking for finally, or will it be another dud? And let me know your thoughts, where you would like to see the iPad go in the near future. The ultimate companion, a true hybrid, or a MacBook replacement? Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please give it one of these. It really does make a difference. Subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.